Chapter 33. Sam's brother wakes up kinda cranky. When I say the serpent opened his eyes, I mean he switched on green spotlights the size of trampolines. His irises glowed so intensely I was pretty sure everything I saw for the rest of my life would be tinted the color of lime jello. The good news, the rest of my life didn't look like it was going to be very long. The monster's rigid forehead and tapered snout made him look more like an eel than a snake. His hide glistened in a camouflage patchwork of green, brown, and yellow. Here, I am calmly describing him. At the time, my only thought in my mind was, "Yikes! Huge snake!" He opened his mouth and hissed, the stench of rancid bull's head and poison so strong my clothes smoked. He may not have used mouthwash, but obviously the world serpent cared about flossing. His teeth gleamed in rows of perfect white triangles. His pink maw was big enough to swallow Harold's boat and a dozen of Harold's closest friends' boat. My meat hook was embedded in the back of his mouth, right where the hanging down uvula thing would be in a human mouth. The serpent didn't seem too happy about that. He shook back and forth, raking the steel line across his teeth. My fishing pole whipped sideways. The boat seesawed port to starboard, planks cranking and popping, but somehow we stayed afloat. My line didn't break. "Sam," I said in a small voice, "why hasn't he killed us yet?" She pressed so close to me I could feel her shivering. "I think he's studying us. Maybe even trying to talk to us." "What is he saying?" Sam gulped. "My guess? How dare you?" The serpent hissed, spitting globs of poison that sizzled against the deck. Behind us, Harold whimpered, "Drop the pole, you fools! You will get us all killed!" I tried to meet the serpent's gaze. "Hey, Mr. Jormungand, or can I call you Mr. J? Look, sorry to bother you. Nothing personal. We were just using you to get someone's attention." Mr. J didn't like that. His head surged out of the water, towering above us, then crashed down off the bow, triggering a 40-foot tall ring of waves. Sam and I were definitely sitting in the splash zone. I ate salt water for lunch. My lungs discovered they could not, in fact, breathe this stuff. My eyes got a thorough power washing, but incredibly, the boat didn't capsize. When the rocking and sloshing subsided, I found myself still alive, still holding onto the fishing pole with my line still attached to the world serpent's mouth. The monster stared at me like, "Why are you not dead?" Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a tsunami crash against the graves, washing all the way up the base of the lighthouse. I wondered if I'd just flooded Boston. I remembered why Jormungand was called the world serpent. Supposedly his body was so long it wrapped around the earth, stretching across the seafloor like a monstrous telecommunication cable. Most of the time he kept his tail in his mouth. Hey, I used a pacifier until I was almost 2, so I really can't judge. But apparently he decided our bull's head bait was worth the switch. The point being, if the world serpent was shaking, the whole world might be shaking with him. "So," I said to nobody in particular, "what now?" "Magnus," Sam said in a strangled voice, "try not to panic, but look off the starboard side." I couldn't imagine what could be more panic-inducing than Mr. J, until I saw the woman in the whirlpool. Compared to the serpent, she was tiny, only about 10 feet tall. From the waist up, she wore a blouse of silver chainmail encrusted with barnacles. She might have once been beautiful, but her pearlescent skin was withered, her seaweed green eyes were milky with cataracts, and her rippling blonde hair was shot through with gray like a blight in a wheat field. From the waist down, things got weird. Spinning around her like a dancer's skirt, a waterspout swirled within a silver fishing net 100 yards in diameter. Trapped in its weave was a kaleidoscope of ice floe, dead fish, plastic garbage bags, car tires, grocery carts, and other assorted flotsam. As the woman floated toward us, the edge of her net thwapped against our hull and scraped against the world serpent's neck. She spoke in a deep baritone. "Who dares interrupt my scavenging?" Harold the frost giant screamed. He was a champion screamer. He scrambled to the bow and threw a bunch of gold coins over the side. Then he turned to Sam. "Quick, girl! Your payment to me! Give it a Ran!" Sam frowned. She tossed another 5 coins overboard. Instead of sinking, the red gold swirled into Ran's net, joining the floating merry-go-round of debris. "Oh, great Ran!" Harold wailed. "Please don't kill me. Here, take my anchor. Take these humans. You can even have my lunchbox." "Silence!" The goddess shooed away the frost giant, who did his best to cower, grovel, and retreat all at the same time. I'll just be below decks, he sobbed, praying. Rand regarded me as if deciding whether I was large enough to fillet. Release Jormungand, mortal. The last thing I need today is a world-flooding event. The world's serpent hissed in agreement. Rand turned on him and shut up, you overgrown moray. All your writhing is stirring up the silt. I can't see a thing down there. How many times have I told you not to bite any old rancid bull's head? Rancid bull's head are not native to these waters. The world's serpent snarled petulantly, tugging at the steel cable in his mouth. Oh, great Rand, I said. I am Magnus Chase. This is Sam Alabas. We've come to bargain with you. Also, just wondering, why can't you cut the fishing line yourself? Rand let loose a torrent of Norse curses that literally steamed the air. Now that she was closer, I could see stranger things swirling in her net. Ghostly bearded faces, gasping and terrified as they tried to reach the surface, hands clawing at the ropes. Worthless Inharyi, said the goddess. You know full well what you have done. I do? I asked. You are Vanir spawn, a child of Njord. Rand sniffed the air. No, your scent is fainter. Perhaps a grandchild. Sam's eyes widened. Right! Magnus, you're the son of Frey. Son of the Njord, god of ships, sailors, and fishermen. That's why our boat didn't capsize. That's why you were able to catch the serpent. She looked at Rand. Which of course we already knew. Rand snarled. Once brought to the surface, the world's serpent is not simply bound by your fishing line. He is connected to you by fate. You must now decide, and quickly, whether to cut him loose and return him to his slumber, or let him fully awake and destroy your world. In the back of my neck, something snapped like a rusty spring. Probably the last bit of my courage. I looked at the world serpent. For the first time, I noticed that his glowing green peepers were covered in a thin, translucent membrane, a second set of eyelids. You mean he's only partially awake? If he were fully awake, said the goddess, your entire eastern seaboard would already be underwater. Ah. I had to resist the urge to throw away the fishing pole, undo my safety harness, and run around the deck screaming like a little herald. I will release him, I said, but first, Great Rand, you have to promise to negotiate with us in good faith. We want to barter. Barter with you? Rand's skirts swirled faster, ice and plastic crackled. Shopping carts plowed into one another. By rights, Magnus Chase, you should belong to me. You died of drowning. Drowned souls are my property. Actually, Sam said, he died in combat, so he belongs to Odin. Technicalities, Rand snapped. The faces in Rand's net gaped and gasped, pleading for help. Sam had told me there are worse places to spend your afterlife than in Valhalla. Imagining myself tangled in that silvery web, I was suddenly grateful for my Valkyrie. Okay, then I guess I can let Mr. J wake up fully. I didn't really have any plans tonight. No, Rand hissed. Do you have any idea how hard it is to scavenge the seafloor when Jormungand gets agitated? Let him go. And you promise to negotiate in good faith? Yes, fine. I am in no mood for Ragnarok today. Say, by my trough. I am a goddess. I know better than to swear by my trough. I glanced at Sam, who shrugged. She handed me her axe, and I cut the fishing line. Jormungand sank beneath the waves, glaring at me through a bubbling green cloud of poison as he descended, as if to say, next time, little mortal. Rand's swirling skirt slowed to the speed of a tropical storm. Very well, Inharyi. I promise to barter in good faith. What do you want? The Sword of Summer, I said. I had it with me when I hit the Charles River. Rand's eyes glistened. Oh, yes, I could give you the sword, but in exchange I want something valuable. I'm thinking your soul.